Today I want to share with you guys about one of my great passions, that's cacao. Now, all cacao is not created equal. There's huge disparity in flavor and quality and purity, and I want to share some of my knowledge here with you guys so that you can make the choice of the best cacao for you. Now, cacao originally is coming from South America, and many believe it's actually coming from Ecuador. Now, most cacao is grown in West Africa. That's where you see a lot of the chocolate and child slavery problems, and where a lot of really low quality cacao is coming that's being done on an industrial level for the big, large scale companies. Nowadays, Ecuador supplies less than 4% of the world's cacao. And there's something that's important to understand, is that if one chocolate bean, one cacao bean from one tree to another tree is not the same thing. There's different varieties of cacao. Now, the heirloom variety, which we use, the kind that's been around for thousands of years, is the Arriba Nacional variety, which is renowned for its quality and its flavor. And this was originally the only thing that was around. It was the only thing available. Later, hybrids were developed to grow better in different environments, specifically Africa, and the main ones were the Forastero and the Trinitario varieties. Now, back in the 70s, another hybrid was developed, another genetic hybrid, which was called CCN51. And this was developed in the 70s, as I said, and it had certain benefits that made it quite interesting for people growing cacao. It was resistant to some of the diseases that can attack cacao trees, so farmers didn't have to worry about that. And it also produced 4 times the yield. So farmers suddenly, in the same amount of land, were able to grow 4 times the cacao. Sounds pretty good, right? One problem. This chocolate is very low quality and is said by experts to taste like acidic dirt. And this is what is used in the vast majority of chocolate around the world. That's why they have to put so much darn sugar in there to cover up that kind of flavor. Now, this was originally developed in the 70s, but not taken into wide use until a lot of the Arriba Nacional crop was destroyed in the rains of the 97-98 El Nino. So this has since then become a huge problem in the cacao world, that the market is just flooded with these low quality cacao beans. Now you can understand why these are a problem. They're grown as a monocrop in these open fields in probably soil that is kind of becoming more and more devoid of nutrients. If you're growing something that's producing 4 times the yield, you're going to be depleting the soil probably at a faster rate. So naturally, you can understand why we stay far, far away from these CCN51 beans. And we're very particular about the quality of the cacao beans that we use. As I mentioned, we use exclusively Arriba Nacional beans. Now that name, Arriba Nacional, originally comes from when the conquistadors were asking the natives where to find the higher quality, better tasting cacao beans, and they would say Rio Arriba, meaning upriver, and that's where you find them, in a slightly higher altitude area upriver. And these are the ones that we use, are grown in volcanic soil in an intact rainforest environment. Why is that important? Well, any plant, any food is only going to be able to pull out of the soil the amount of minerals that are there. For example, a tomato can have over 50 different minerals in it, but if it's grown in crappy soil, can have as few as 4 minerals in it. So the quality of the soil dictates the quality and the quantity of the minerals that are going to be able to be uptaken into the food. So volcanic soil is incredible because it contains minerals that have been brought up from deep within the earth. And why do we want it grown in this intact rainforest environment? Well, more and more we're learning that just like our microbiome is very important in our body in ways that science never previously before could have even imagined, we're also seeing that the mycelium that grows within the earth, these mycelial fungal networks that allow for communication between plants and passage of nutrients and break down the soil into nutrients that can actually be absorbed by the plants, not just rocks. Actually, the mycelium is able to break down things like rocks and really tough soil into nutrients that become bioavailable for the plants. It's an amazing life cycle. And so when you have monocrop soil that has been sprayed and polluted and had all kinds of different problems happening to it, you're not going to have this incredible mycelial network that you're going to get in an old growth forest or in an intact rainforest environment as we're using here. The other great thing about that being an intact rainforest environment is that the growing of this cacao and the fact that we are paying for this cacao, we are incentivizing the local people to have a good reason to be great environmental stewards for the jungle and for the rainforest. And there's nothing more important than that in our modern world. And then it's just the best when it comes to the flavor. It has an incredible floral flavor to it. And if you've ever opened a box of our chocolate or a bag of our cacao powder and just taken a deep inhalation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, we don't stop there with our cacao. Our cacao, as you may know, is raw, and it is mycotoxin free, and it is very, very clean when it comes to heavy metal contamination. These are three things that are very unique to what we're doing here. So most all cacao out there is roasted. That is interesting in certain ways from flavor profile perspective, but it is destroying some of these very heat sensitive compounds, some of these really interesting neurotransmitter type of compounds that are found in the chocolate. Then cacao, in the traditional sense, is processed in such large batches and in a fashion that leads to a lot of mold being able to grow in the chocolate. And the mold may be destroyed during the roasting process, so it may not show or test positive for mold as in the final production, but what's left behind is mycotoxins. These are toxic byproducts of that mold that remain in the chocolate and can have a really detrimental effect on your health. Now, our chocolate is done in small batches in a very particular environment with particular methods that are designed to prevent any kind of mycotoxin production or mold contamination. And this is something that we actually test for to show that we are and be sure that we are bringing only the highest quality cacao to you guys, because we care about your health like we care about our health. Then last but not least, heavy metal contamination is a huge problem in the chocolate world. Chocolate and cacao are notorious for having heavy metal problems. And in a similar way, our partners who are procuring the cacao for us are extremely particular about the way in which it's processed. And that's something we test for as well, to make sure that we're very clean when it comes to heavy metals. We don't want arsenic, we don't want lead, we don't want mercury, none of this. We don't want any of that in our chocolate. We just want the purest, highest quality cacao to give you the ultimate experience. So if you've had an experience that you've enjoyed with our chocolate, please let us know. Leave us a comment below, give us a like, share this with your friends if you think they might benefit from learning a little bit more about the different kinds of cacao out there in the world and how to really be knowledgeable about selecting the best one. Thank you guys so much for lending me your time, and I hope this has been informational and beneficial for you. Wishing you an incredible day and hope to see you back here again soon.